We are going to checkmate a king, a lone king with a knight and a bishop. Some people will tell you you don't need to learn this ending. It'll never happen. That may be true. I've been playing chess for 20 years and I've only had it happen one time in an over-the-board game in a tournament. I was on the losing end of that position, but I went into that knowing or hoping my opponent would not be able to win, and my opponent couldn't win and it ended up a draw, chasing me around for a few hundred moves, and finally the game was drawn. So I think it's instructive, it's fun to learn. You can show your friends, oh, I can mate with a knight and a bishop. When discussing it with a master, he showed me a neat trick. If you arrive at a certain setup on the board, it's relatively easy to do, and I'll show you what he showed me. This is the position that the master had showed me, and with very little calculation you can checkmate the king. It starts by cutting this square off from the king. And this knight's going to come back this way, cutting off this square. He has these two squares here that he can go to. If he comes back to this square, the knight will just check. He can't go here and can't go up here, so he has to come back, and we basically get into the same position that we started with. So if he goes this way, it's relatively simple. If he comes back to this direction, the knight's going to cut him off. It's very similar to what we just had. When he comes to this square, our king is going to go here. Now he only has these two squares. Well, actually one square, these two squares. So we're going to cut him off. And our knight is in a good position here to deliver the check we want, but we can't do it now. So we have to lose a move, and the best way to do that is with our bishop. And it is very common to lose moves with this bishop in this ending, and here we're going to lose the move. Oh, what am I doing? It's not his turn. Okay, alright. Now we're going to lose the move, because we can't play our knight here. There's our lost move. Got ahead of myself.
Check. Checkmate.
Simple as that. No calculation, just knowing where the pieces need to be and how to get them there. I will show you a trickier version of it, and it goes like this. The king started relatively close to the checkmating square with our light squared bishop. Works the same way with a dark squared bishop. So we go a little farther away. Let's go way over here. No, we don't want our king there. Our king here. Like so. This is a little different because this king is going to try to run when he gets over to this side of the board. So when we cut him off, and again, if he goes to this square, we're just going to check him this way with our knight, and we're going to get right back to where we were, but a little bit closer to the checkmating square. Now here's the trick. The king is headed out. He wants to get away in this direction. So this knight is going to swing around, and he's going to cut off these two squares. Cut him off. So now he can go here and here if he wants to try to run in this direction. This is pretty common. I'll also say that the computer will very often just run to this corner and get itself mated pretty easy. Humans have a much more higher ability to fight to the last breath. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the king off with our bishop now. See, we've cut him off. So he's got to come back, and he can come back to this square and this square. It really it doesn't matter, but if he goes to this square, our king gets right in. So you might see him do this to try to keep the king out of this square. Well, that's easy. We'll just, you know, he's cut off. So he's got to give way. And if he goes to this square, our king will just come over here like this, and we're right where we want to be, right, just like the position, almost the position where we started. The bishop's going to come back, come over. So if he goes here, then our king is going to come over. We're just boxing him in. Boxing him in. And if he goes here, it's the same thing. The bishop just comes back, and we're close to the same position. Actually, cut him off there. So it'll look like something like this. Actually, we can go here. Now, I'm sure there's probably a couple different ways to checkmate from here. So I know that my knight is going to want to deliver a check here, so I just get him there right away. Okay, it's his move. Yeah, get him there right away. So he's ready to deliver this check. Losing a move with our bishop. He's coming back in this direction. I'm going to reposition my king. Cut him off. Lose a move.
Check. Checkmate.
So you can see it gets a little tricky when the king tries to run there, but there are a number of different ways to keep him from getting away. From this position, he really doesn't have many options. If he tries to come out this direction, we just cut him off. Just like that. And we're right back where we started from when I first started the video. Gonna work him over here and checkmate him. On a side note, getting the king from this area, let's say, just an example. Getting the king out of this corner can be a little tricky. You know, it's not quite the same. You got to kind of use a little bit of calculation to get him where you want him to be. I like to move my king out of the way here. He can't go to this square. He can go here, but then this bishop is going to come down and trap him. And I say that because we're going to want to move this knight. The knight has a square covered, but we need to move this knight and get this knight to this square here to attack that square. Now the king has to go to this square, so he's really limited on where he can go. So now our knight is free to roam to come to this square. We've taken away this square. And we are in the position that we started from. Rolling the king in that direction. Let's see if we can do it in practice.
Game started.
Generally at the beginning I just kind of start chasing the king around. Human beings can make it a little bit more difficult. You can actually calculate it a little bit better to form little walls and blockades with your king and knight and bishop to get him where you want him to be.
Check.
Okay, I've got him close to a corner now. I'm going to slow down here a little bit. And the mating pattern I showed you down here is pretty much the same in any part of the board. Okay, king g7. Let's work him into the corner. So, as I was saying, the mating pattern works on any part of the board, but I've learned it really well from the bottom. So instead trying to do it at the top, I have to think a little bit more because it's upside down for me. And sometimes when it's on the side of the board, I'll actually cock my head sideways trying to work it out. And we got to watch stalemate. If we go to this square right here, the king can't move. So we want to let him have this square. And he can't go here, so we've got him limited down here to where he can only go to a couple of squares. I kind of like having that square taken care of.
Check.
Okay. Work him out here. Yeah, okay, let's give him this square here. Now I'd like to get my king, get my knight repositioned here. Get him here and go here. Here, he goes this way. Need to get my knight to this square. I got you now. Okay. See, we're just rolling him right along. See, he's making it easy for me here. He's just going to the square. That's going to
Check.
lead to a pretty easy mate here. Now, I want to deliver the check with my knight where my bishop is not interfered. And the best way to do that would be to put my knight here. Check. Cut him off. Lose a move.
Check. Check.
And mate. And that's it. It works pretty much just like I showed you. You can do this with any program. You can see I have the program set to 2200, so that's pretty strong. Again, a human will make it a little bit more difficult, but if you persevere, I did it in 35 moves. And the nice thing is if you're low on time at this time, usually people aren't keeping score, so if you go over 50 moves, most of the time people aren't going to notice. That's it.